A very warm welcome to StudyIQ, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 29th August 2020. Day is Saturday. I would like to start today's discussion with this quote by Abraham Lincoln. I never had a policy. I have just tried to do my very best each and every day. Just imagine if you can add 1%. Forget about 1%. If you can add even 0.1% improvement every single day, within a year, you will be outstanding. So, whatever you do, try to get better. Don't try to increase 50% or 75% or 20%. Start with small, gradual changes, small steps that will lead you to perfection, and you will see that you will get better and better every passing day. With this, dear friends, StudyIQ team has designed a smart course. So this smart course is for Civil Services Examination. It covers your pre as well as mains examination, and to find out more about it, all you have to do is download our mobile application. Till 31st August 2020, EMI offer is also available. On our table, we have three interesting articles. Today is Saturday, so we don't have that many articles, but the articles that we have are very interesting, and then I have some news items for you guys as well. To download the PDF of today's lecture, check out my Telegram channel. You can follow me on Facebook too. The first one is about economy, right? Rebuilding a sustainable economy post COVID-19. Before this current recession through which the whole world is struggling and going through, big recessions that this world has seen. The first one was Great Depression of 1929, and the second one was some 13 years ago, 2007's global financial crisis. They say that this global economic recession is going to be more destructive, it is going to be more painful compared to 1929 and 2007's global financial crisis. Experts are also saying that Indian economy may shrink by 4 to 9% in financial year 2020-2021. So here let me throw some light on this 2020-2021. Our financial year starts from 1st April every year. So the current financial year started on 1st April 2020 and it will end on 31st March 2021. So this year, our economy is going to be in a red zone, that is in negative zone. We will be somewhere, our economic growth will be -4 to -9%, somewhere between these two figures. But if you ask me, then I would say that we are going to be in minus double digit, -10 to -15, somewhere between these two figures we are going to be there. Or if we cross -15, then as well, I will not be surprised. In 1979, India witnessed a red zone. Our economy clocked -5% because of this severe drought. It was once in a century type of drought, and in the same year, in 1979, a few pockets of our country received a huge amount of flooding. So things were very bad from geographical point of view. And you can see here that when things go wrong with geography, when you have too much rainfall or you have very less rainfall or drought-like situation, then it will impact your economy. Bad economy will impact your lifestyle, your income, so it will impact our social setup, and then we will feel this whole burden on, or you will see that people will fire shots at politicians, and something similar took place in 1979 as well. We had this midterm elections, and Morarji Desai's government was down, Charan Singh's government fell as well, and midterm elections brought Indira Gandhi back into power. It was the same time when BJP was formed, and today we know that BJP is a ruling party at the center. So the writer here, he says that I believe that the India in which we live in today was in many ways created in 1979, and 2020 is going to be a decider year as well. 2020 is not just the 1 year in which we will feel pain, economical pain and health-wise pain, but this is going to continue for next maybe 5-6 years easily. So this is the right time. Of course, we are going through a very painful period, but with pain comes opportunities as well to sort out things. And this is the time when we can rebuild a sustainable economy, a sustainable Indian economy. Unprecedented fiscal and monetary stimulus packages were announced by Indian government and so many other governments around the world. Remember our discussions on this stimulus packages by New Zealand, by USA, by UK, France, Germany, China, Russia. We have gone through so many of infographics from Economic Times and Times of India and other newspapers as well, isn't it? Particularly in daily financial news analysis. And let me tell you that if you are preparing for UPSC, SBI or banking examination or any other examination, I'm sure you are aware about this fact that economy, business, financial news items or current affairs are very important for all these examinations. And on daily financial news analysis series that is available on regular basis on our channel, you can watch this video in which we cover financial, business and economical news items on regular basis. So I have talked about this sort of things in my daily financial news analysis series, and latest report of IMF, that is International Monetary Fund, also says that the total stimulus package for G20 countries averaged 12.1% of GDP. That means this G20 countries, individual countries, if you see, then some of them they have given 10%. Some of them they have given 20% or 15%, but the average is 12.1% of GDP. So that is a big package. If we analyze this package, then we find that the primary target or the primary focus is for short-term revival. These packages have worked like, or they are designed to act like a jump start. When your car battery dies, what you do is you jump start your car, isn't it? Then you take cables from other battery and then you give it to your car battery and then you try to turn on your car. So that's what economists or governments are trying to achieve. They are trying to jump start their respective economies. But the problem is with the long-term transition. What about long-term? Are you making the most out of this crisis situation? We know that it's not just the virus, right? It is culmination of so many things like climate change, and because of that thing we have lost so many species, and because of that we have lost that wall that was separating human lives from this wildlife. But now we find so many windows or so many holes in that wall, and because of that so many viruses or pathogens are entering into human world. And this is just a starting. I'm afraid to say this thing, but if you analyze all these various different diseases in last or this 4 or 5 pandemics in last 20 years, in 2 decades, then you will find that most of them are wild viruses. They have entered in our zone. So all these things are an indication, or I would say this is an opportunity for every government around the world to take decisions in such a way that that will make our world, that will make our country more sustainable. In India too, the focus is on the existing brown economy and shovel-ready projects. What we are doing here in our country, we are, or the government is trying to restart all those projects, and government is trying or giving green signals to so many projects, but when it comes to climate change and environmental concerns, they are relegated. That means they have been sent to backbenches. At present, the focus is just on economy, and we have to understand this thing, that so far that this is something that we have we are very used to with this thing, isn't it? That when it comes, whenever we face some sort of problem, then our main focus is to revive our economy. But we hardly ponder about this thing, that why we are in this situation, and how environment can play a significant role in long-term sustainable development of society as well as economy. Short-term injection is required, no doubt, but not at the cost of long-term loss. This is one of the most interesting, one of the most important line in this article. Short-term injection is required. It is the need of the hour. Of course, we need it, but not at the cost of long-term loss. Strategy to transition to a sustainable society is something that we need. That is also a need of the hour, and as I told you, this is an opportunity for the world to as well as our country. Forget about the world. Let's focus on our country alone. It is a big opportunity at our door that we change the way we are doing things. So let's discuss some areas in which we can make radical changes, keeping in mind the long-term requirement of our country as well as the world. So the first one is agriculture. We have to make agriculture more sustainable. The reason is that 50% of land is under agriculture. We use 85% of our water for agriculture, and this, I can easily say, is not sustainable. I still remember a few years ago, Ramnath Kovitji, he visited Madagascar. Madagascar is an island nation in Indian Ocean. It's not far from South Africa. And then you have this Madagascar Strait, Mozambique Strait as well. On the other side, you find Mozambique in the African continent, and this island nation is not far from Mozambique. So anyway, so he visited that place, and he found that they have a very sustainable. They use minimum amount of water to produce rice. What we do here is we submerge our field with water in our country when we produce rice, but over there they just make sure that the soil is wet enough and they get good amount of rice yield. So we need this sort of things. We need to implement this more crop per drop thing. We need to produce more food or more agricultural yield from minimum amount of land. Like comparing India's cotton production with China, you find that India was number one. I'm not sure if we are still number one, but we are always number one or two. And China is, when China was ahead of us, at that point of time as well, China was using a small piece of land compared to India. And then as well, it was number one in cotton production. On top, we are using huge amount of chemicals. So this is destroying our natural capital like land, water, air, everything. And it is also bad for microorganism. Low income livelihood to 50% of our population. And this is one of the main reasons why our economy is still known as agricultural based economy, because 50% plus population is associated with agriculture. Agriculture is central to the building of a sustainable society. Without reforming agriculture, without having radical changes with our agricultural system, we cannot have a sustainable society. Then energy, right? I'm sure you are aware about this fact that 85% of our fossil fuel we imported from various different parts of the world. So we cannot carry on like this forever. We need to transit from fossil fuel to renewable source, and for that we need huge amount of R&D. Continuous R&D is not one-off thing. You have to do it forever. Renewable electricity, battery storage, smart grids, hydrogen fuel for industries. These are all things that we need to do R&D on, and we need to experiment it here, and we need to promote it. Build resilient infrastructure. Yes, we need roads. Yes, we need airports. Yes, we need more buildings, but they should be green, right? Particularly all those new buildings, they should be green. In this article, the writer is saying that instead of roads, we should prioritize railways. I would say that instead of railways, we should prioritize waterways. Cheapest, greenest, right, and less costly in terms of creation is waterways compared to all other modes of transportation. And we have so many rivers in our country, so at least we can carry on with this plan. But still, we are not that fast. We are still slow. Instead of concrete jungles, we must build sustainable cities. Invest in nature, one of the most important thing. Reversing deforestation, reversing desertification, enhancing soil quality, wetlands and forests. This investment in nature will create massive livelihood opportunities for crores and crores of people in our country. Support local and small businesses. We need to look after our micro, small and medium enterprises, right? They play a very important role in our manufacturing, in exports, in job creation. So government policies must support the development of efficient and green small businesses. And overall, we need investment in social capital, proper education, good quality of health services and good governance. These are the things that will create a long-term impact. Lastly, I would like to say that the New Deal that was enacted by the person that you can see on your screen, his name is Franklin Roosevelt. To respond to the Great Depression, this whole New Deal lasted for 7 years. Remember our opening statement that this recession is going to be more severe, more painful. So maybe for a decade, we have to suffer from because of this lockdown or because of this economical crisis due to this COVID-19. But we have to brace ourselves and we have to do everything that will take us to or make our world or our country more sustainable. Moving on to next item, but before that, please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion, and please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have already subscribed, can I request you guys to inform 3 more students about StudyIQ education. Now, the next one is about Israel and Lebanon. Israeli attacks on Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon. So here you find this country, Lebanon. Few days ago we were talking about it because of this Beirut explosion, remember? So this portion here, Israel conducted few raids and attacks. And Hezbollah is a Shia militia cum political party in Lebanon. Now, tensions began after Israel's targeting of Iranian weapons and supplies within Syria. Israel's defense system, they have this motto that attack is the best defense. I'm repeating here that attack is the best defense. So if Israel will find that a consignment of weapon is heading towards Lebanon, and if this weapon or these weapons can be used by Shia militia against Israel, then Israel will destroy these weapons in Syria or in any other country. If it is in Iran and if it is coming towards Syria, and if Israel will know about it, then Israel will conduct an attack. That's how Israel works. I have one question for you. You can see a country here called Jordan. Can you give me the name of the capital of Jordan? Stick your answer in the comment section. In July 2020, Hezbollah commander was killed by Israeli raid in Syria, and Hezbollah has vowed that it will retaliate. It will not let go its commander's death. It will take vengeance or revenge. Hezbollah has been a tough target for Israel. Israel is a very powerful country in terms of defense, but Hezbollah as well is not a soft entity, right? In 2000, after 18 years of occupation of southern Lebanon, this portion here, this was under control of Israel for nearly 18 years. But in 2000, Hezbollah forced Israeli forces to withdraw from this region. So you can understand or imagine how powerful Hezbollah is. In 2006, Israeli invaded Lebanon, aimed at destroying Hezbollah's military capabilities, but it was not a big success. They have this axis. Iran supports Syria, and Syria supports Hezbollah. So indirectly, Iran supports Hezbollah. And Iran and Israel are arch enemies, right? So basically, Iran would like to see Israel in big troubles, and so would Israel. Hezbollah can push Lebanon into a wider war because of this Beirut crisis. Already before this Beirut bomb blast or this explosion, Lebanon was going through political turmoil, economy was not in good shape, inflation was quite high. And already you have this problem with Israel and other things going on. So all these things were going on, and one of the most important city, Beirut, at this blast, and it is nearly destroyed. So many houses are destroyed, so many offices are destroyed. So this is a good opportunity, unfortunately, for the world as well as Lebanon. But for Hezbollah, this is a good opportunity to push Lebanon into a wider war. So that's going to be a big issue. Moving on to next item. This is a very interesting article. National well-being and the counts that matter. Let us think about this thing. Birth of a child. I'm sure we have never looked at this thing from this point of view. If you visit a hospital and let's say one of your relative, she has delivered a boy or a girl, a baby basically, and if the doctors tell you that the baby is healthy, the baby's weight is good, so just from birth weight, if we analyze this birth weight and if it is healthy, then there are so many things that we can decipher from it, like the mother's nutrition level, mother's education level, mother getting routine checkups, formal delivery, right? And so many other things, support of family and so many other things, isn't it? Just from healthy weight or birth weight. And if the birth weight is bad, if the birth weight is low, or generally it is low in our country, so if it is too low, let's say the baby's weight is 1.5 kilo or something like that, then we can decipher that the mother was not able to get nutrition during her pregnancy, or before that she might not be educated, family support or poor condition, and not routine checkups and so many other things, isn't it? So this article is saying that national well-being and the counts that matter. We need to count. There are few numbers, and based on that, those numbers, we can create new policies, and we can know what are the ground realities. What proportion of pregnancies in India start off without the consent of the woman? There are so many, because underage marriage of girls is something that is still going on in our country. It should become a history, but unfortunately this thing is going on in various different parts of our country. To get rid of this underage marriage, right, it is very difficult to change people's belief system, right? If a society, if in a particular pocket, if people practice this underage marriage, then it will take ages for us to to educate them, to make them aware about the bad things, and then as well we will find this sort of cases, because this is part of identity. It is part of those people's identity, and it's not that easy for the people as well to get rid of their identity, and it's not easy for the government as well as the society to persuade these people to get rid of their so-called beliefs and the way of living. But education is something that can change that particular individual. A girl who is educated will resist underage marriage, and for whatever reason, if she cannot resist anymore, and if she is forced, and if there is family pressure and peer pressure that you need to get married now, and then as well that girl will be able to postpone her pregnancy, because she is educated, she has at least completed her secondary school. But for girls to visit schools on regular basis, you have to provide separate toilets, sanitary pads, pick up and drop facilities, or some sort of transportation commute facilities, and so many other things as well, like financial support and other things. Not every pregnancy ends up in a live birth. That means if there are stillbirth, a stillbirth means the baby dies, right? So that's called stillbirth. So again, the thing that I told you, if not every pregnancy ends up in live birth, or if we find stillbirths, right, that again means that things are not going on well when it comes to checkup and when it comes to healthcare system. A desired pregnancy is to be supported by fully functional healthcare system, able to anticipate complications before time and facilitating a safe delivery. Even today in our country, we have growing trend of nuclear families, but still pregnancies in India and in Indian culture, even abroad as well. Pregnancies in abroad, when Indian couples, right? Pregnancies are familial events. You find so many mothers of the girl traveling to UK, USA, Australia, and other countries, and she will stay there for 6 months or 8 months to support her daughter with her first or second pregnancy. So it is a familial event, and for that we need to get support of family as well when it comes to education and other things. I hope you are with me now. A young, short, and underschooled woman is more likely to have a bad pregnancy outcome or a smaller than expected baby. A birth weight is much more than a number, right? And this numbers should be looked after by the highest level of government in state, like Chief Minister Office can monitor these numbers, and based on that they can tweak or they can change, make necessary changes with the policy. Born more equal than others. There are so many people in our country, before their birth they are in a bad situation or disadvantage situation. Some of them who have received all these good things, if their birth weight is good, their mother's nutrition level is good, right, then they are going to be physically better. They are going to be mentally as well, IQ level or grasping power and everything is going to be better compared to that boy or a girl who has not received this basic facilities. So from the birth itself, there is this big inequality, and this will stay, unfortunately, for a very long period of time. A good start is a great advantage, right? Breast milk, mother's breast milk, one of the most important thing for the first 6 months, and then transition, which is known as weaning. So, baby after 6 months, you can start feeding baby solid foods or the normal food, and for that the mother should have all these facilities. And we have some highest numbers of poor people living in our country, so we need support from government as well as family. Repeated bouts of vaccine preventable or easily treatable illnesses, like we have Indradhanush program. We need to take it to every nook and corner of our country. And correlate of birth weight and 5-year height weight needs to be reviewed at highest political levels regularly. We can do it in schools, isn't it? In school, if you are in nursery, or if your kid is in school, higher KG, lower KG, or in first standard, then every year or twice a year we can conduct this height weight scales, and we can check their nutritions and other reports, and based on that thing we can provide them fortified food and other things. Improved learning should translate into better completion rates at post-secondary and bachelor level, and this will help us get rid of this stigma, because in our country stigma erodes self-worth and kills silently. It means around the world stigma erodes your self-worth and kills one silently, but in our country stigma is society still indulges in this all stigma. So public health is something that can, public health means government health system or government medical system can help us get rid of all these things. And this is a continuous thing. This is not a one-off thing. We have to keep on working on this thing for a very long period of time. Then we will see a radical change, and then we will enter into a sort of prosperity as well as a development zone. And that's basically everything in today's discussion, dear friends. These are some news items. You can download the PDF and go through all of them. And I will see you soon with daily financial news analysis. Till then, enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind.